Hello, guys. Welcome back to Tech Gappa, India's first ever tech podcast show. We are the hosts. I'm Sumedh,
I'm Amol.
I'm Mohit.
and we discuss all things tech. You ask why we do it? It's simple. We are technically nerds. On to the next topic, actually. This is kind of a doozy and quite nice, actually. We're going to be discussing what is GPMI, the new standard that may make HDMI, Thunderbolt, and DisplayPort obsolete. So this has been developed by more than 50 Chinese companies.
Mhm.
So it's quite proprietary per se in a way
It's
right
a
now. But
lens. It's a
yeah,
It's an
lens.
but it's an
alliance, yeah.
alliance, and what they're aiming to do is it's going to potentially might replace connectors such as HDMI, Thunderbolt, USB, and DisplayPort. So let's actually see what it has to say. The Shenzhen 8K Ultra HD Video Industry Collaboration Alliance, oh, that's a mouthful, recently announced GPMI, a new audio and video wired interface that may take the widely known HDMI and DisplayPort interfaces a thing of the past. Developed by a group of more than 50 Chinese tech companies, including Hisense,
Since
Skyward
I would
TLC, and others. General
TCL.
purpose.
TCL and others, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
TCL
yeah.
and others, yeah.
So it's going to be it's general purpose media interface GPMI, combine video, audio, network connections, power supply, and supply into a single cable. So quite
Mhm.
like the Thunderbolt port. That's why they mentioned Thunderbolt here. Now the new wired media connector supports 8K video and reduces the number of cables required to stream data as well as power. GPMI comes in two variants, a Type-C cable that supports USB-C standard and offers 96 gigabit per second of bandwidth with
Mhm.
240 watts of power supply, and a Type-B wire with a proprietary connector that bumps up the bandwidth to 192 gigabits per second while providing 480 watts of power. Now that's a lot. Now why this is better than a DisplayPort, HDMI, Thunderbolt, and a USB? The GPMI Type-C cable may seem like it's very slow compared to the proprietary Type-B GPMI. It is interesting to note that 96 gigabit per second bandwidth is more than the double the standard of 40 gigabits per second speed of a USB 4 port with extended power range offers under USB PD 3.1.
Mhm.
Now the GPMI also has a significant advantage over HDMI 2.1 and DisplayPort 2.1, uh, where they top out at 48 and 80 gigabytes per second respectively, while delivering no power. In case you're wondering, both Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4 offer 40 gigabits per second of bandwidth and deliver up to 100 watts and 240 watts of power. Now, if you were to consider this a game changer, then definitely so this is going to be a game changer because it has power over this protocol like by default. See, because
Yeah.
like even the Type C has a 240 watts of power supply, and the Type B proprietary also has a 480 watt of power, up to 480 watts of power. So it's going to be like Thunderbolt by default has power, okay, but at the same time it's offering HDMI 2.1 and what do you say, DisplayPort 2.1 specs kind of speeds.
Yeah.
So that is really insane if you ask me. Like that is definitely some kind of game changer move that you can think of.
Yeah. So basically what happens in that domain is HDMI is also the lens.
Yeah.
So each and every equipment that uses HDMI has to give their shares to the alliance called as HDMI. So it is like that. And it is widely used right now in our day-to-day world because earlier it was VGA. Before that, it was the DVI, which is relatably more the used in the military domain because of the rigid connectivity and the very good kind of trustworthy connectivity on that. After they we have shifted towards the HDMI, and now it's a USB-C era. You can see there are players available in the market right now also, which can give you all five signals onto the USB-C with the Ethernet power, audio, video, and control, both five. I just curious about the length limitation because HDMI has the length limitation.
Yeah.
Because of that, we tends to use the converter. We called it as the HD base T kind of alliance. That is another alliance that we have, which can actually talk in between the HDMI to HDMI endpoints in the Cat6 cable. So again, we have the another mode of transport of the those kind of a signals is the Cat6 cable. So Cat6 also can carry out five signals in it. So there are multiple players in the market right now. The I don't think so. It is a GPMI. It's called as a GPMI, right?
GPMI, yeah.
So
General purpose
they are
memory.
building a GPMI kind of alliance with the, of course, Chinese 50 Chinese companies. So it is kind of making it proprietary kind of a step forward to it. You can see more and more equipments come with the JPI connectivity if this is a hit. Otherwise, in I think so in our domain or our area, it will take, I think so, more time to come.
Yeah.
So it is like that. But I'm just curious about the length limitations. That's
Yeah.
the only thing. Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
So
Yeah.
two things I would like to mention it here. This is a complete opposite move to what we are leading to. Back in 2023, European Union had announced that we will have USB-C as our single port, and every other manufacturer is compelled to equip USB-C.
If they wanted to sell it in the Euro.
Yes.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you are not allowed to sell that particular product in Europe. So we are moving into standardization. One port which rules everything.
But
That's why we have Thunderbolt. We have also discussed about Thunderbolt 5,
Yes.
hmm.
linked to it in here. So we are already talking about five things in one port. So GPMI, which is general purpose,
It's they
Media
find out
interface.
very generic name for that. That
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not actually necessary. It's not actually necessary. This is just like,
building a lines around it. It's kind of that yeah.
and
But as Sumit said, it is interesting as well because people are not aware about it because it's not reaching to them. If more and more equipments come with those particular connectivity options or widely used in some kind of countries, of course, it will be more popular. So instead of HDMI, people will ask for the USB or GPMI. So it
Yeah,
is like that. It is the just a building kind of awareness around the USB-C connectivity,
exactly. Because
the alliance.
even in today's world, uh considering India and the average people living here, you don't go around buying, especially I'm saying laptops specifically, okay, because Thunderbolt is mostly featured around in laptops.
Laptops, yeah,
And what happens is, see, a lot of people have laptops, but they don't specifically keep on upgrading the laptop hardware for every year or every 2 years. So
correct.
the new Thunderbolt standards or the DisplayPort standards or the HDMI standards, these are the kind of things that we are actually stuck with the older ones. Okay, the maximum like things that we get are like USB 3.1, USB 3.2, something like that. The dull standards that we are used to. Those are just some upgraded speeds. And nowadays, since like Thunderbolt's the king, right? Because I can tell, like every day I plug my laptop into this monitor and don't have to connect a charge. I just connect one cable
Cable,
that
single
comes
cable, yeah.
from that monitor. That monitor has a separate port where I can connect the Ethernet cable as well. So it's like fast internet over this one small cable. And it's a great feature. Now, when will the next upgrade come? When can I upgrade to the next one? It's not the question that haunts a average user. It's more towards a tech-oriented person,
Yeah.
people like us, or who have very specific needs and will require this,
Yeah.
like this. So
As Thunderbolts is more the popular around the Apple or
exactly,
the post-production guys, which are doing the filmmaking or which are doing the
exactly,
graphically
exactly,
intense kind of a work.
exactly.
That way only this will go.
Yeah.
I assume. Yeah.
And what I think why the GPMI popped out more than say Thunderbolt 5, like we discussed earlier, or even Thunderbolt 4 that was mentioned in this article. What I think is, now I usually don't take this angle, neither do I want to take this into this podcast much, but recently when the US's Trump administration put out a lot of,
The tariff war. You can
tariff
just
war.
Tariff
symbolically
war.
Yeah.
address. Yeah.
And when China started showing off that, hey guys, we are literally not depending on the US for, our lives or something. There is a whole another market, and guess what we can do? And then they feature something like this. Okay. So it's kind of might be
It's a big
motivated
picture.
by, yeah, exactly,
It's a big
motivated
picture.
by
Yeah.
external factors as well, not just the tech industry.
Yeah.
So that's why it popped up more. Now, like Amok said, I completely agree with this Europe's,
Standards and all. Yeah.
standards and all, because that put a major dent in Apple. And Apple being very proprietary, cannot fix your what you bought kind of thing is something I hate. Like, if I bought something, I should be able to open and fix it. As simple as that. I get that you have spent lakhs and lakhs of dollars, researching and developing this and making it your own, very, yeah, proprietary, but your iconic original thing. But nonetheless, if I want to fix something, I should be able to open and fix it. And that's the basic things consumers expect, and they don't do it. So then again, like, what EU did was awesome, and I think we should go in that step where we should standardize something, stick to it, and develop better things on it. Yeah, like Thunderbolts is not going to be the full and final everything. Like, this is the final thing we can do, and we'll just keep on adding some speed over it. No, it there is always going to be the next new thing. But is this the next new thing? You never know.
I
No,
don't
no,
think
no,
so
yeah.
because see, I'll just quickly wrap this discussion here
Yeah,
on this particular point. USB or USB-C or Thunderbolt, the production line is set, or the research or compatibility issues are fixed. Any application you want for a laptop manufacturer, particular company knows what are the standard requirements to make this port compatible for our motherboard and how it can work better with other displays or other any components. Introducing a new port will invest a lot of research and trials with each and every manufacturer with these particular port manufacturers. So if Lenovo, for example, decides, let's just not take the Chinese laptop maker. If Dell wants to equip GPMI with their laptops, Dell has to do a lot of testing with that GPMI port, will have to wait for a while, and in the end, they don't know where this port is going to be used
yeah,
because all the monitors they are compatible with USB-C. Even the monitor manufacturers like LG, for example, they don't know how to use GPMI. They are still using USB-C. So this will be time consuming and a lot of money would be burnt in this. So it will definitely take some time, or definitely it's not going to rule the market pretty soon. That's
No,
what I think.
it is not about the time. So it will not come soon, as you said, Amo.
It's about the competition.
It's about the bringing new things to disrupt
yeah,
the market, as Sumit said.
yeah,
So it's a big picture. If there are 50 companies are into the venture of the making alliance, of course there will be a global pressure. Of course there will be a putting a new concept into the manufacturing, because you and me and everyone knows where actually the chips and where actually the manufacturing has done
Yeah,
about the all the laptops. So we don't have to finger out or point out anything. So it is about that. And for the new any kind of a new technology, market will not drive the innovation. Innovation will drive the market eventually. So it will take time, but if they're trying, if they're, I don't know about their, what you can say, the target market, they can grow, but it will take time, as you said.
but I think this is just the last point. I promise.
Okay.
Just like we have Toyota in the EV market, making their stance clear that Toyota will never ever have an electric vehicle. This particular stance can be seen by some electronic companies in future when it comes to GPMI.
Of course,
That
it can be.
we will not add GPMI port to our laptops. We don't care. We might see some
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
manufacturers like this.
We are seeing actually, you can, you actually, we happen to see Apple, so they don't care about anything. So they are
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
USB-C. What's that?
No, in the end, they decided to equip USB-C because that
Exactly.
was a pressure.
Exactly. It
But
is the innovation driving the market. Okay. So
USB-C is not really an innovation
It
because
was actually opposite. It's the market driving the,
exactly
not even innovation in this
not
case.
even innovation because
Yeah.
all other people
Apple,
in
Apple
Europe,
is, Apple was finally
but
forced to come
as
to that.
as you said, some OEMs will hold back.
Yeah.
Apple was holding back, but it has to be changed
Yeah. It had
or
to
the
be.
market.
exactly. So Apple
So
was proprietary. They were
Yeah.
having their own port. So
Exactly.
exactly.
market was pressurizing the manufacturer that we are
Yeah.
not going to accept your port. You have to
Exactly.
accept the regularized standardized port.
Yeah.
So if they decide, if the alliance decides that we will not stop giving GPMI port, in future European Union can say that we will not accept GPMI, come to Thunderbolt 5.
Exactly.
Or vice
But
versa. Yeah.
and
I don't
actually,
think it will happen vice versa.
even say forget about the market, or EU playing its tactics, or any other country or any superpower or non-superpower playing the tactics. Just think about this on a technical, technological point of view.
Yeah.
Say GPMI comes out, okay? Cool. They have that USB-C thing, very fast, powers and everything. It's very cool. Now think about this. I have a laptop. It has Thunderbolt 4. I have the modern monitor with GPMI. Okay. That monitor is an awesome piece of tech I want to use. I paid for it. I want to
Correct.
use it. Is it compatible with my Thunderbolt 4? Now the article didn't say anything. So we would have to go check out the specs on the GPMI as of now. But they should, no matter how proprietary their other connector is, okay? Since people tend to keep the higher ends a bit different from the regular things, you know, regular products, so as to have some edge over the, baseline product to make it different. Now, if that has a proprietary connector for that higher speed and everything, I can maybe understand. But for that Type C thing, now when they say Type C, will that be compatible with my Thunderbolt and or other protocol that I'm currently using? That is the, say, wide standard right now. That should be answered, right?
Correct. But in article you can see their connector is USB-C connector.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, obviously, I mean
So yeah,
the power
exactly.
aspect is obviously going to be, but
Correct.
if just because the connector on this end is using GPMI, if it detects like, hey, this is Thunderbolt hardware, it will limit it to Thunderbolt speeds. That
Exactly.
is something understood. But
Yes.
let's hope it does not even go below that speed just because you're not using a Thunderbolt. Like a few phones don't
They can do that.
charge with
No,
that.
where I am coming from is basically earlier you can see the laptops are having the VGA ports as well.
Yeah,
After some point of time, they convert it into the HDMI.
correct.
After some point of time, they are converted into the USB-C.
Yeah.
So you are keep on changing something.
No, no, we keep on changing. What all I'm saying is don't limit it too much because, for example, my phone is a OnePlus, okay? It has a 65 watt something charger. When I charge using that charger, it goes to 65 watt. Okay. Now my phone has say inherently 60 watts of charging capacity. Okay. Now if I get a better charger, okay, similarly spec, but it goes to 100 watts. Okay. Now I connect my phone to it and it should at least go to 60 watts, is what I assume because my phone supports it. But no, just because it's some other manufacturer, let's assume Lenovo in this case, or any other manufacturer, Samsung, it detects that it's not a Samsung phone and limits the charging speed to say something like 10, 20 watts,
Correct.
whatever the baseline is. Okay. This is something that should not happen. And when you're providing something like a Thunderbolt, the Thunderbolt uses USB Type C. USB Type C being a very definitive standard is okay, but don't downgrade the speed just because it does not support your proprietary standard.
You cannot promise on that because we have seen Apple degrading the performances of their older iPhones.
Oh, that company is just
So,
greedy. That's all.
but
That's
I
all they
mean,
are.
to summarize, and let's this can be a future. This can I still don't think this has a lot of potential in it as compared to Thunderbolt as of now. If they are providing something out of this world, out of this box sort of features, then it's okay. Because VGA, HDMI over VGA, because VGA and we had to connect a display wire and a sound wire separately, which was then solved by HDMI,
Correct.
because HDMI carries both audio and video signals.
Correct.
HDMI was then taken over by USB-C because USB there I need not need a separate cable for display connecting displays. So that
Exactly.
was the convenience.
For the higher bandwidth, you can say.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you consider none of these except for HDMI, none of these were proprietary.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
are universal. Anybody is allowed to use these ports. It's not proprietary. It's not a company owned. You don't need specific permissions to use their port. Just like iPhones. What's that lightning port?
What
So
lightning?
let's see. I mean, in maybe next 5 years or 10 years, we might be able to
We
get
will
a
get the
clearer
answer.
idea of
Yeah.
this particular 50 company alliance GPMI
Yeah.
proprietary port.
Yeah. You should see. So yeah, coming on to the final topic for today, that is going to be the nuclear cell, and let's see what this is about.
Are you
So,
wearing a radioactive gear?
I guess I have to know. So, no charging needed. This coin-sized nuclear battery lasts 50 years. Beta Volt, a Chinese battery from again China, has begun mass production of the BV100, a coin-sized eco-friendly battery powered by nuclear energy. Oh, wow, nuclear energy.
Radioactive and okay, nuclear. Okay,
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
eco-friendly.
So, battery technology has seen rapid advancement in the last couple of decades to the point where we now have sodium ion cells in power banks. And while most modern cells last a lot longer than they used to, the batteries that can last more than a decade on a single charge may sound like straight out of a science fiction movie. Yeah, that is true.
Yes, for sure.
But that soon may change because, according to Popular Mechanics, a Chinese battery company named Beta Volt recently revealed a compact coin-sized battery powered by nuclear energy. Named BV100, the battery uses nickel 63 as its radioactive source and can last up to 50 years on a single charge. While the
Wow.
energy output of the battery is relatively low and cannot charge smartphones or cameras, BV100 isn't just a lab innovation. Metavolt is already mass producing the batteries to power electronics like medical equipment and aerospace devices. So let's just see how it works.
Wow. If
The
it's not charging smartphones or cameras, then what exactly is the use?
Exactly. We'll find this out because I can tell you one place where it will be useful. And when they mention medical equipment and aerospace, but let's
Ah,
just like to point out in electronics, usually in any kind of device that runs for a long time, there's always a component called RTC that is installed. That is the real-time clock. What
Hmm.
it does is it measures ticks and keeps an accurate track of the time. Okay, it has some deviations here and there, but they are very minor. So over the year, there's like a few seconds of deviation that you might see. Apart from that, these are very highly accurate clocks that are used in embedded systems. So a major, place where this battery could be used is to
yeah.
power the RTC. So yeah, the Betavolts BB100 nuclear battery delivers a power output of 100 microwatts at 3 volts, with the company planning to launch a 1 watt version sometime later this year that can be used in a consumer electronic and extended drones fly time.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. So if you like add a few of these in series and parallel, you will be able to get quite a lot of electricity out of this if you think about it.
And a lot of radioactive.
Exactly. Don't crash your drone after this, That'll be bad. So Betavolt PV100 battery has two parts, a radioactive emitter and a semiconductor absorber. The emitter naturally decays over time, shooting high-speed electrons that hit the absorber. The phenomenon generates an electron-hole pair, which outputs a small but stable amount of usable electrical energy. To prevent the harmful beta particles from leaking, the company is using a thin sheet of aluminum. Okay, so yeah, but before you are overly scared about the nuclear
So they
word.
are actually mentioning the entire recipe too, how it works.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. But don't go around cooking this in your home because
Yeah.
radiation isn't a joke. And even if you see like a thin sheet of aluminum is protecting you from beta particles, I wouldn't go,
But
making a
it's actually very controversial because if you see the last paragraph and last line,
hmm,
these nuclear batteries may not replace the ones in our smartphones, but they are perfect things for rover.
yeah,
Can you just go down, scroll
yeah,
down, scroll
yep,
down, scroll down. Yeah, like planetary rovers,
hmm,
sensors deployed in sea, and might even help pacemakers.
yes.
So you are talking about implanting radioactive battery right next to the heart.
Yeah, that is the most sensitive things one can think about. Yeah,
That's too much trust on that thin sheet of aluminum.
No, no,
exactly.
people tends to save their phones rather than saving their hearts.
Yeah,
Exactly. That is exactly how the world's going. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Mohit answered your question right away. But if you think about it, I mean purely based off of innovation, for batteries especially. Let's take the possible harmful nuclear, radiation aside. But if you were to have a battery source that can last a long time, a pacemaker is really one of the best places you could put it in,
it's
because
highly risky.
yeah, I know, it's a high risk is always there. Even us walking on roads, us driving is very risky. And apart from that, but yeah, I think I was foreshadowing some earlier experiences
Yeah.
uh, from certain hosts of the show. But apart from just your consumer products, I think most of the appliances which are aerospace, which are specifically scientific, and or which are used to say, improve your health are always going to be targeted more. And in the end, it might end up being a better choice for those than your consumer products. So you never know. I mean, for me, I think like yeah, I know the pacemaker point is really controversial. It is always going to be controversial, but because they've put it in there, I mean, the whole article here is shifting its focus from pacemakers to something like just RTCs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it does give you a good idea where it can be used.
Yeah,
Now,
it will really being tiny in size. I mean, you can imagine where these tiny batteries can be used, and that
uh,
too for 50 years.
yeah,
You don't have to charge it, but at a risk of being radioactive in nature. So
yeah,
it really is, as of now, it's really like a good innovation, good development in battery chemistry and battery manufacturing. But we'll have to see the practical, firstly, the medical tests and radioactive tests. Based on that, we can determine the
No, but
appropriate.
Iron Man was using it for longer periods.
yeah, valid point.
Yeah, but still we are very late to have a
Exactly.
battery which is radioactive.
Yes.
Amok,
But
Amok sounds like a Batman supporting billionaire kind of guy, not that
Yeah.
kind of guy.
but looking at the radioactive tests, we will, or the picture would be much clearer as to what are the human centric applications of these particular batteries.
Yeah, also.
So that's a wrap for this week. And
Yeah.
we did change our roles for this episode.
Yeah, I
Sumedh
got
was really,
promoted.
yeah, Sumedh was really excited to, be the host for this week, or take the lead, or take the front seat of this episode. So let us know how you feel about this experiment we just did. And like we always say, thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please subscribe to Technically Nerds if you haven't already. Like this video, share it with your friends and family. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.